Hello, lovely yogi. Welcome to Flow with Shreya. I'm Shreya, and today I'm bringing you another pose breakdown. Today we'll be going over wheel pose, also known as Chakrasana or Urdhva Dhanurasana. Wheel pose can be a daunting pose for many of us, including myself, because it requires a lot of strength, flexibility, and mobility. Along with the physical aspect of this heart-opening back bend, there's also a mental aspect of fear that you need to overcome in order to successfully practice this posture. So today I'll be going over some tips and tricks, modifications, as well as poses to help you prepare for this posture in your practice. If you want to learn more about wheel pose, come flow with me. Wheel pose asks a lot of your body. It's a very deep back bend and a great heart opener. It also requires strength in your quads, openness in your shoulders and arms, and flexibility in your spine. So before we take our bodies into this deep posture, it's important to warm up and open up our bodies in the right way. If wheel pose isn't quite accessible to you for any reason, work on some of these preparatory postures in your practice so you can gain some of that strength, mobility, and flexibility. Now, while you can work on some of those things in your body, things like anatomy and range of motion for each individual might cause some limitations in this posture. But don't let that discourage you. In yoga, it's the journey that matters, the journey of our physical body as well as the journey within. So while your wheel pose and my wheel pose may look different, we can all practice and work towards that posture and gain all the benefits from the journey. So I'll go over some of the postures we can use to prepare our bodies for wheel pose first. If any of these postures seem extremely difficult to you, stay there, back off, and work on that before you move on to wheel pose. Feel free to take your time and do another practice to warm up your body, open up your back, open up your hamstrings, strengthen your quads, and open up your shoulders. I know, it's a lot. It requires our whole bodies to practice this. Later, I'll also be going over some props you might be able to use to help you open up and prepare for wheel pose. So let's first start coming onto our bellies. As you make your way here, just take a moment to breathe. Take your right arm out to the right and bend your elbow so it's about a 90-degree bend. Your elbow and shoulder should be about in the same line, and your wrist and your elbow should be about in the same line. Now, placing your right cheek on the mat, press into your left palm underneath your left shoulder and roll over to your right side. You'll feel this opening up in your right shoulder. You can keep your knees bent here for balance, or you can keep that bottom leg straight and take the top leg up and back, bending at the knee. Breathe here. Again, take your body just as far as it can go and don't push it too much. Come back to center on your next breath, and we'll take that on the opposite side. Again, bend your elbow and take your left arm out to the left. So left shoulder and left elbow in one line, then the wrist and elbow in a line. 90-degree bend over here. And placing your left cheek on the mat, press into the right palm underneath your right shoulder, roll over to your left side. Again, you can keep your knees bent for stability and balance, or you can bring the right leg up and back, bending at the knee. This is a great opening in your left shoulder. Breathe into it. On your next breath, come back to center. Now placing your palms underneath your shoulders, we'll take a couple of baby cobras to open up the heart and strengthen the back. Press the tops of your feet behind you. Zip up your legs if you can. As you inhale, lift just your chest and upper ribcage. Gaze should be just out in front of you, not craning your neck, but lengthening through the back of your neck. Exhale and lower. Inhale, lift up once more. Exhale and lower. One more time, inhale. Lift your palms off the mat if you can. Exhale and lower. Now on your next exhale, sink your hips back towards your heels, coming into a child's pose. You can bring your big toes together and take your knees wide here. On your next inhale, shift forward once more. And we'll be taking an upward facing dog, opening up the heart and bending the back even more. So palms underneath the shoulders. As you inhale, lift your chest and thighs off the ground. Adjust if you need to. And again, avoid craning your neck, but rather create length in your spine. Hug the belly button up and in. Breathe. As you exhale, sink back to your child's pose. This time, keep your knees together and maybe even bring your arms by your shins. On your next breath, come into your tabletop. Find your knees right underneath your hips, tuck your toes under, and then begin to walk your palms forward as you melt your chest towards your mat for puppy pose. You can keep your forehead on the mat, or you can turn your chin to your mat. Bring your palms together over your head here. Bend your elbows, and bring your thumbs towards the back of your neck. You can find this tricep stretch here. Again, just finding a little bit more opening through the back of your body, preparing for wheel pose. Deep breath in and out. Release your palms forward. As you exhale, walk your palms back and lift up into your tabletop. Now crossing at your ankles behind you, come into a seat. Take a seat in the middle of your mat. Bend your knees, feet flat on the mat, and we'll begin to come gently back and down onto our backs. As you make your way onto your back, walk your heels in as close to your glutes as possible. Feet about hips width distance apart here. Now the next pose we'll take is bridge pose, which is traditionally the pose you take right before wheel pose to prepare and to transition into it. Find your breath, palms by your sides, tuck your shoulders underneath you, and as you inhale, lift your hips up towards the ceiling. Now, in this space, let's work on engaging through the quads, pressing the hips forward and up, staying strong through the feet. Squeeze the air in between your thighs. And this is the same sensation you'll be feeling when you're in wheel pose, keeping your legs engaged and strong. Hug your belly button up and in, and breathe. Avoid letting your knees splay out here, but rather keep your knees hips width distance apart. Core is engaged, inner thighs are engaged. Breathe in and out. Exhale, lower down one vertebrae at a time, creating length in your spine. Take your heels wide, and drop your knees in towards each other for a passive rest pose. On your next breath, bring your heels underneath your knees, hips width distance apart once more. And we'll take wheel pose next. Now, if you feel like your body is not ready for wheel pose, feel free to practice a little bit more, to warm up your body a little bit more, or just take bridge pose again. Now you can go directly into wheel pose from your back here, or you can go into it from bridge pose. Let's start from bridge pose. So bringing your shoulders underneath you, inhale and lift your hips. Now bring your palms by your ears, fingertips facing in towards your shoulders. Again, try to make your palms about shoulder width distance. As you press into your palms and your feet, inhale and lift your body up off the floor. Again, engage your quads. Breathe. Engage your core. Exhale, lower down. Come back down into bridge pose first, and then lower down one vertebrae at a time. Now remember that wheel pose will look different for each of us. When you're up in that wheel pose, open up your heart, lift your hips up, and keep your quads engaged. It can feel scary getting up there in that deep back bend, supporting your entire body on your hands and feet, and essentially being upside down. So if you feel those sensations come up, just breathe deeply and come right back down whenever you need to. Now that we've gone over the prep postures as well as wheel pose itself, there are a few props we can use to help open up our hearts, open up our shoulders, and create that flexibility in our back. One such prop is a yoga wheel. Now with the yoga wheel, you can use this in your preparations and warm-ups to warm up your back for that back bend. Here's one of the ways you can use it. As you come into a seat, bend your knees, feet flat on the mat, and bring your yoga wheel right up against the small of your back. Then gently begin to lay back and down. You can stay here if this feels good enough for you, or you can begin to press and lift your hips and bring your head back. Just breathe in and out. You can also take your arms up overhead if it feels good. And when you're ready, gently bend your knees, bring your hips back down, come off of the yoga wheel. Another prop you can use is a stability ball. So if you have one of these, you can do something similar to the yoga wheel, but you'll first need to sit on the ball, then walk your feet forward as you lay your back onto the ball. And then you can take your palms down. Now this is essentially a supported wheel pose here. So you can take this if you feel fearful and need extra support. Rather than just letting the ball take the weight of your back and body, begin to press through the palms, begin to press through the feet, engage your quads, hug the air between your thighs, so you can prepare your body and your muscles to feel what it would be like without the ball there. And again, to come out of this, begin to roll forward, release your palms, lift up, come into a seat. You can sit on your ball. You can also place blocks underneath each of your palms when you come into wheel pose, just for another modification of this posture. Another great prop to use is a wall. A wall can help you keep your legs engaged or your chest engaged depending on how you position yourself. Another way to get into wheel pose, besides coming from the ground up, is to start from standing. Personally, that's not part of my practice, so I won't be sharing that with you here today. But just know that that's an option, and one of the ways you can work on that is with a wall. You can stand facing your back towards the wall and begin to walk your palms down until you lower down into that wheel posture. Regardless of how you get into it, remember to keep your heart open, quads engaged, avoid letting your knees splay out. You need your entire body to work together in this posture. Imagine creating a length between each vertebrae in your spine when you're in this back bend. When you practice this pose, you want to find a balance between your mental fears and your body's true limits. So respect your body, open your heart, and expand your mind. I hope that was helpful to you, and if it was, be sure to share it with someone else that might find it helpful too. If you enjoyed this, please click the thumbs up button down below and subscribe to my channel. Be sure to click the notification bell so you don't miss out on new videos every Tuesday and Friday. The clothes I'm wearing, the mat I was practicing on, as well as any props we've used will be linked in the description box below. If you want more pose breakdowns, I have an entire playlist. I'll link it in the cards as well as in the description box below. Let me know in the comments below which pose you'd like me to break down next. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.